At the onset, I was asked to talk on the topic holistic education for students. Definitely, students are the future generation, and we need to rethink about what exactly is education. Because we have stalwarts who have designed beautiful curriculum, they've created beautiful policies, programs. But when it actually comes to the recipients, the students who are receiving that well-planned educational policy and curriculum, we find that students are not actually enjoying it. Because for whom education was designed, they are not receiving it in the intent that was intended to be delivered. So now we need to understand the psychology of the students. Students needs or students' perspectives can be divided into two aspects. One being what the student wants, and two, what the student needs. We all understand what they need, so we create a curriculum for them. But somewhere, our educationists have failed to touch on that raw spot which a student really wants. So if we can merge what a student needs with what a student wants, then I think we can bring about a transformation. Because education is not just academic knowledge, but it is more about developing that character, the personality, the individuality of a person, and he is our future citizens. So if we want our country to grow, we definitely, all of us, need to put in efforts to think about what more does that student need in order to flourish and in order to be more productive and have better performance, and him not just performing, but being happy doing that. We call that job satisfaction. We call that, just being happy, being alive, and happy being who we are. So I think that's called wellness. And I think this whole university is focused on that. It's a beautiful platform for me to be on here. Now, when you look at the present student population, I think I just have to touch on certain of the needs and the wants which the student has not been fulfilled. Because unless we talk about the negatives, we cannot go into the positives. So if you look at students, why are they dissatisfied? And I'm presuming that all of you agree that all the students are not happy with the education system. Because they go to school, they go to college because they have to. But they don't, if you give them an option, I'm sure they won't be sitting in class or they would not be continuing their education. So how do we attract the students into this education system? Somewhere touching on what they want along with what they need. Now you see that the student population has a lot of expectations, and those expectations may not be met because expectations of the parents, expectations of the educationists, and the expectations of the students are not in sync. So we need to look at expectations. Students have a feeling of lack of recognition because they don't have that wellness, that happy feeling. Because most of the time, the rankers, the ones who get good marks, the ones who are achievers, are recognized. But what about the others, the 75% of people who don't actually meet the standards of society? Some students are bored, maybe because they are too fast in their mental capabilities. Some of them are distracted. Some of them are basically unhappy. Some of them are low on self-esteem, low on confidence. Some of them have not utilized the potential they have because of the lack of, a platform to show what intelligence they actually have within themselves. And in today's achievement-oriented society, I'm sure that you agree, only achievers are being highlighted. And so I think today the education system is more about force and the students more about apathy. They're just going with the flow, but they're not actually involved in the education. And also I would put a little of the blame on the parents. Because you see today parents are overprotective, over-loving, over-expecting, wanting so much for their child. and that corresponding need is not found in the student. Students today also, because of maybe the overpowering education system, the teachers, the parents, have started to behave in a manner that which is what is called in psychology learned helplessness. They act, or they learn how to act helpless, and sometimes they don't even want to take charge of their life and go forward. And some of them have mental laziness because they don't want to put too much of effort. There are a lot of temptations in today's world. There are too much of restrictions, and some population are forced to depend upon parents or teachers. And so you find the student population today not being happy or not being well, in the words that the university is talking about. So a student needs to have a sense of purpose. Why am I living? He has to taste success. Every student has to feel the taste of that success, feel happy, have a sense of purposefulness, because sometimes there's no meaning in what they're doing. They're just going with the flow. And they also need to experience a sense of freedom, because somewhere our education system is blocking that freedom. And the sense of focus and a sense of a destination, because nobody knows where they're going. They're just going because that's what the academic stream is taking them. And sometimes they need to feel that, yes, I can achieve a feeling of wellness, a feeling of power, a feeling of happiness, a feeling of satiation. So I think we need to understand what the student actually is lacking if we have to create and design a curriculum for the students. We need to just look at two things. One, the student needs to understand, what can I do? If he knows what he can do, he needs to know how to excel in that. Second, the student needs to understand, what can I not do? Because he has to understand what are his areas of challenge and how he needs to improve this. Because here I talk both on the level of a psychologist as well as an educationist. And I am combining both because I understand the student's mindset. That has been my area of research. And I understand the educationists and the curriculum designers, because I'm also a part of that too. And most important, I look at this from another perspective. When you talk about wellness, today when we look at our society, I don't think our society is well. Because you see, there's a lot of suicide, a lot of psychiatric disorders, there's drugs rampant in many universities especially. They are the hub of drug addiction. A lot of alcoholism, smoking. There are too many love stories going around where people are distracted and they're not focused on their career and their life. There's too much of importance to sex and satisfaction of their needs. That's why rape comes in, because they need to show pressure and force in order to get what they want. There's a lot of gambling, cricket betting. There's a lot of crime happening around. And today we also have, on a more subtle level, we have cell addiction, TV addiction. So when you look at all these negative aspects, why are the youth today turning towards the antisocial trends or the not so productive trends? Then we definitely then will understand that they sense the path of life has not made meaning to them, and so they've gone off track. And if you have to bring them back on track, we need to know this differentiation of what he wants, what he needs. And education today needs to focus more on, I would categorize it into 4 categories. How should he study? Because most of the students don't even know how to study. They don't know their own learning styles. Why should I study? Because he doesn't know what is the meaning of education. What should I study? Because sometimes today our content of our curriculum is outdated, more theoretical and not practical. And where should he go? Because he doesn't have a future destination and his path is not clear. He's taken a stream of education. He's gone into that field. Now, if he gets a job, fine. If he doesn't, where do I go? So today, I think that there are a lot of challenges that are in society regarding students. And the goal of education should always be about self-excellence. Each one of us have our own innate power, ability, capabilities. Unless I know who am I, what I can do, and how can I excel, that's when I am totally satisfied and I have a feeling of wellness. And I think today that wellness is a very important term in the education system today. Students need to do their best, but in order to do their best, they have to be encouraged, they have to be understood. And today, I don't think anyone has time for the student. The teacher is busy imparting education, the curriculum, trying to fulfill the syllabus. Parents are too busy in their own world, then where does the child go? And definitely, I think then the child will have to fall back on friends. And what influence is friends other than having more of enjoyment and excitement rather than focusing on the career? Of course, I'm not, I'm generalizing because there may be a few 15% who are very focused, who know where they're going. But I'm talking about that other 85% who have somewhere lost track of who they are, where they're going. And today, students need more knowledge. They need to know how to use their capabilities. They need to know how to get information. Because somewhere we are dumping information onto them. They search for what they want. They're beautiful at Googling, but they don't do that for the education and for the lessons. So you find that there is a lot of imbalance in the way the student approaches life for his excitement, happiness, and for students who are focused towards productive, contributive ways. Now, there must be skill development for task mastery. And sometimes, we are not actually, though we talk about skill development at the university level, college level, and professional colleges, still I feel there is certain gaps which we need to address. And we need to make every student learn how to apply his knowledge in order to increase productivity. Because when the brain is engaged, then the student automatically is happy. So that sense of purpose, that sense of well-being is what is lacking in today's world. And like the Vice Chancellor had said, we need to have education on a multi-perspective level, like the cognitive, the social, the emotional. Most of the time, the social is taken for granted because they know how to make friends and move, but they don't know how to deal with their friends when there is a conflict. Emotional development is there. They learn how to be happy, sad, anger, all their emotions. But most of the time, it's not in control. And sometimes I think the purpose of this kind of Vedic Wellness University should be on teaching students how to channelize that emotion. Because today, if you see in the pandemic, all the clients that I get are around anxiety. And why do they have anxiety? Because they are locked into their own houses. They don't have their friends and, the social, physical release of energy. And also there is a lack of emotional release. So what happens is that all that emotions are pent up within themselves, and this boils up. And so panic, anxiety, these are the kind of symptoms that I see in my day-to-day practice. So physical exercise is also something that is not given so much of importance, because if you see in schools, they have moral science, they have sports period. But when it comes to exams, all that is put aside because academics is given a better priority over holistic development. So somewhere we all need to make a difference. We all need to channelize the energy of the student, make him understand the difference between personal and professional. He has to understand what is the age which is the maximum productivity, because that is the time he wants to enjoy rather than work on productivity. All of us, over a period of time, we learn how to increase our productivity. But what if we could channelize that energy at a younger age? Then people would be successful earlier rather than be successful at a later stage. Because when do you get independent? When do you have freedom? When do you become responsible? When do you respect people? It's only when we have experienced life. And that is why today's success comes at a later stage for most people. So if that could be imbibed at an earlier stage, then I think that we will have more successful citizens in our country if they appreciate the value of what they have, if they are recognized and if they are understood. My whole area of research for the past few years has been on understanding the brain. And I've come out with a theory of the brain design. So I understand that students today are not understood. And if we can diagnose how that unique brain of each child is nurtured properly, encouraged properly, understood properly, and given the right platform for expression, then I think today we will not have a world of negative antisocial activities, but one of productivity and one of progress and development. I think we all have to put our hands together to work with the Vedic Wellness University because they've taken the right initiative. So we all need to put our heads together in order to come out with a beautiful program which makes the students happy yet productive. And that's all what we want, because we want our children, our citizens to be happy and go forward successfully. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.